Rivers rinse salt from rocks and earth and carry it to the sea. But when people divert water onto arid land, much of it evaporates and the salt stays behind. Irrigation also causes waterlogging, allowing brackish groundwater to seep upwards. Unless there is good drainage, long fallowing, and enough rainfall to flush the land, irrigation schemes are future salt pans. Southern Iraq was one of the most inviting areas to begin irrigation, and one of the hardest in which to sustain it. One of the most seductive traps ever laid by progress. After a few centuries of bumper yields, the land began to turn against its tillers. The first sign of trouble was a decline in wheat, a crop that behaves like the coal miner's canary. As time went by, the Sumerians had to replace wheat with barley, which has a higher tolerance for salt. By 2500 BC, wheat was only 15% of the crop, and by 2100 BC, Ur had given up wheat altogether. As builders of the world's first great watering schemes, the Sumerians can hardly be blamed for failing to foresee their new technology's consequences. But political and cultural pressures certainly made matters worse. When populations were smaller, the cities had been able to sidestep the problem by lengthening fallow periods, abandoning ruined fields, and bringing new land under production, albeit with rising effort and cost. But after the mid-third millennium, there was no new land to be had. Population was then at a peak, the ruling class top-heavy, and chronic warfare required the support of standing armies, nearly always a sign and a cause of trouble. Like the Easter Islanders, the Sumerians failed to reform their society to reduce its environmental impact. On the contrary, they tried to intensify production, especially during the Akkadian Empire and their swan song under the third dynasty of Ur, which fell in 2000 BC. The short-lived empire of Ur exhibits the same behavior as on Easter Island, sticking to entrenched beliefs and practices, robbing the future to pay the present, spending the last reserves of natural capital on a reckless binge of excessive wealth and glory. Canals were lengthened, fallow periods reduced, population increased, and the economic surplus concentrated on Ur itself to support grandiose building projects. The result was a few generations of prosperity for the rulers, followed by a collapse from which southern Mesopotamia has never recovered. By 2000 BC, scribes were reporting that the earth had turned white with salt. All crops, including barley, were failing. Yields fell to a third of their original levels. The Sumerians' 1,000 years in the sun of history came to an end. Political power shifted north to Babylon and Assyria, and much later, under Islam, to Baghdad. Northern Mesopotamia is better drained than the south, but even there, the same cycles of degradation would be repeated by empire after empire down to modern times. No one, it seems, was willing to learn from the past. Today, fully half of Iraq's irrigated land is saline, the highest proportion in the world, followed by the other two centers of floodplain civilization, Egypt and Pakistan. As for the ancient cities of Sumer, a few struggled on as villages, but most were utterly abandoned. Even after 4,000 years, the land around them remains sour and barren, still white with the dust of progress. Thank you very much.